Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. Have a question for the show or need assistance with your retirement plan? Give Philip a call today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here alongside Philip Statler. He is president and founder of Statler Financial Services right here in Sebring. And Philip, we've got a great show lined up today, going to be talking a little bit about bad financial habits. Any time is a good time to break a bad habit, whether you want to make improvements in your routine at home, your job performance at work, with your physical health or your financial health. The time to make a positive change for your future is right now. And you are in the right place as we get into this here today. Philip, 3 out of 4 Americans don't have a written financial plan. That means most of us are winging it when it comes to spending. So when we talk about bad financial habits, how could we break the bad habit of living without a budget?
You know, Jen, that's probably one of the hardest ones out there. And today it's become easier, right? Because there's all kinds of apps that people can track their expenses. To me, that's the hardest part, right? I mean, we know where the income's coming from, but tracking our expenses, what are we spending money for and what are we spending it on? Because that really helps us to kind of figure out what retirement's going to look like for us in terms of how much money do we need to spend or will we have to spend in retirement? Too often people, I think, do it backwards, right? They say, here's my pot of money and I'm going to spend it till it's gone. The problem is that it can be gone and they still have fixed costs that they have to cover. And so that's why the budget is so important. So tracking your expenses and what you're spending money on will give you so much understanding of what your budget needs to look like and how much money you're really and truly going to need in retirement to have the retirement you always dreamed of.
Right. And when we talk about some of these bad habits, Philip, complacency, I think that's another bad habit for a lot of us. We don't make regular adjustments to our portfolio. We don't pay attention to the fees we're paying. Keep our money with some financial institutions just because we don't like to take the time to explore other options. It's just easier to put things away and just leave them. How does working with someone like you help us keep from becoming too complacent when it comes to our retirement money?
Well, I think complacency is easy, right? Because, hey, if it's in the back of my mind, I'm not worried about it. But it also means that it's in the back of your mind. You're not worried about it. Things could go wrong and you're not paying attention until it's too late. And so that's where I think complacency is the deal. You need to be on top of your retirement finances. And that's why we meet with our clients, at least once, if not twice to 3 times a year to make sure that they're on track. They're doing what they need to do and that their income is sufficient to get them where they need to be. Nobody likes to make changes, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the show today, is that change is hard, and nobody likes to make changes because of that. So, it does mean that we have to make some changes, though, because otherwise being complacent is going to take over. And that's just a dangerous place to be. If too many things can go wrong, and we don't want to see that happen to folks in retirement.
Right. As I mentioned, a lot of times we don't pay attention to things like the fees that we're paying. Talk a little bit about how much the impact things like that can have on our retirement. When we talk about things we aren't always paying attention to, sometimes it's fees because they seem minimal, but how much of an impact could that have on us over time?
Well, you're right, Jen, because they can seem minimal, but the other thing they can see is they can be hidden. Right? We don't know where they are. And so they can be very impactful from that standpoint. So let's just look at a few numbers here, right? So if we look at some historical data that Vanguard kind of put together, we know that from 1926 until 2019, that if you had a blend of 80% stocks and 20% bonds in your portfolio, that you would have earned about 9.7% a year on average over that time span. So So that's pretty good. If you're putting $1,000 a month away over 40 years, now granted, in 1926, that would have been a lot of money, right? But still, it would have grown to $5.8 million.
Wow.
But if you think about fees for a minute and the impact they could have, if you were paying just 1%, that means you're 9.7 would now be 8.7% on average. Over that same 40-year period of time, you would have only had a portfolio of 4.3 million. Now, it's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But what I want you to focus on is the difference. The difference between those two numbers, that's $1.5 million. That's 25% of your wealth to fees. That tiny 1%. And so that's why I think it's important that people know what the fees are they're paying. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be some fees. We can't get away without some fees. The issue is, where are those fees and what are you getting for those fees? Are you getting somebody there that can answer your phone calls, that will give you the right advice, that will be I call it the 411 and 911, right? Are they going to be there for that conversation on tax issues? Are they going to be there for that conversation on buying versus leasing a vehicle? These are all things that coaching in retirement play a part to. So the question I have for folks out there today is, do you have a financial broker, a financial advisor, or do you have a true financial and retirement coach? Somebody that's there for you to answer your questions and to help make sure that the decisions you make are in your best interest, not theirs. And that's what we really do here at Statler Financial. We're here to be your retirement coach, to help you get into retirement and to make sure that you have the retirement you always dreamed of. If you're not working with that type of person, or you're not working with anybody and you need to find that right fit for you, let us help coach you into and through retirement. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Let us coach you in retirement.
That number one more time, 863-285-3815. Philip, when we're talking a little bit about some of these bad financial habits, leaving tax breaks on the table is another bad habit to break. Talk a little bit about how having a tax-efficient retirement strategy can help keep you on track so you have more money for your own use in retirement. The same concept as watching those fees. Less fees means more money for you. Less taxes means more money for you as well, right?
You're absolutely right, Jen. And people don't think about taxes when they think about retirement. And that can be a problem, right? Because taxes do play an important role on both, I'm going to say both sides of the fence, right? So there are times when I sit down with folks that they're paying too much in taxes. They're not making the right decisions with their investments for their current path to retirement. I have other folks that I sit down with that are the opposite end of the spectrum. They're not doing enough right now to pay taxes, that we want to take more out of their IRAs or more out of their retirement accounts and move them to Roths or move them to non-qualifieds, so that they're paying some tax now at these extremely low rates. But the problem is that this industry, if you call the local brokerage firm, they're going to say, well, we can't help you with that. If you call one of the major wirehouses or one of the major firms out there, they'll say, you ask them a tax question, they say, oh, we can't help you with that. Do I do a Roth conversion or not? We don't know. We can't answer that question. And that's where coaching comes into play. And helping people through that process and make sure they're making the right choices when it comes to taxes and how they've got their accounts allocated, Jen.
So, Philip, one last area of bad financial habits: procrastination. This can get the best of us. It's a habit we should all try to break. What's your message to people who've been procrastinating when it comes to creating a plan for their retirement?
Well, let's talk about that next segment, okay?
You just want to wait? Just put it off until later.
We'll just wait a little while, Hey, procrastination, it can be your biggest enemy, right? Because we're trucking along, doing our thing, thinking about retirement, but putting off those big questions like, do I have enough money to retire? Do I have the right allocation for my retirement? Am I doing things right? Do I have a plan in place to help me get through retirement? And that's the problem. Nobody wants to take the time to put together that retirement income plan. And I think that's most people's missing piece, because a lot of people, you said earlier, 25% of the folks out there do have a financial plan. The problem is a lot of times a financial plan doesn't go to that nth degree to put together that retirement income plan. The details needed to make that work. And that's really what I think folks need to understand today, is that we need to have that retirement income plan. Don't procrastinate. Put your fears behind you. Take a step forward and embrace the fact that we need to have a plan in place. We need that roadmap to know where we're going to be taking money from, when we're going to take it, and how long that's going to last, to make sure that what we have is enough and it's going to last us as long as we're here on this earth. Because nobody wants to run out of money before they run out of life. Folks, listen, if you're one of those folks out there, which most likely 90% of you are, you don't have a retirement income plan in place, a physical written document for your income plan, give us a call and let's walk you through that process. 863-285-3815. Folks, that's the number you need to call. Again, 863-285-3815. That's the number you need to call to schedule your financial x-ray. That easy. Again, that number is 863-285-3815. Folks, don't procrastinate. Pick up the phone, call right now, and get on the calendar, and let's start the process.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
This is Roxy at Statler Financial Services. On behalf of me and the team, we want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Are you near retirement and facing a layoff? You may have some important decisions to make regarding your 401k. If you don't work there, should your money stay? This decision could be critical to your retirement. Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have worked with many families with these types of decisions and understand your options. We can look at the options for your 401k that could save you on taxes down the road. Call Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services and schedule your complimentary 401k review at 863-285-3815. Philip and the team are ready to assist you no matter how, by phone, video, or with an in-person visit. Call Philip Statler and the Statler Financial Services team today for your 401k review. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. Philip is the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. And if you're wondering who is likely to be more comfortable and confident with their retirement, well, there are a few things you can do to help secure your financial future, and Philip's going to help break this all down for us. Because, Philip, we found this study here from the Employee Benefit Research Institute, and they went and they were asking people who are in retirement and who say they are comfortable, they feel comfortable, and they asked what are some things that they have done. And everybody who said they were comfortable in retirement has done the same 4 things. So we want to share these 4 keys to a comfortable retirement with our listeners today. And the first one, all these people who responded to this survey who said they're comfortable in retirement, the first thing they all did, they went into retirement with little or no debt.
Jen, I would think that, and you and I would think that that's a no-brainer, right? And really, it is a no-brainer, because every dollar that you owe someone else is a dollar that you can't use to help create or use for retirement income. Now, I will take a step further than that and just give you some experiences, right?
Okay.
As I look back over my almost 20 years of being a registered investment advisory firm, and the folks I've met with, those folks that did that one thing, retired with little or no debt, have flourished in retirement. I mean, they didn't have to worry about that. They didn't have the head trash. It wasn't something weighing over them the whole time. It makes a huge amount of difference when you go into retirement with zero debt. I mean, it just does. It's just that relief of knowing that's one thing I don't have to come up with every month, is that payment.
Right. And that is one of those things that can just nag at you if you don't have a way to take care of something efficiently. Here's the other thing, Philip. Not only do we want to do a good job of paying off that debt before retirement, we don't want to rack up new debt in retirement as well. And I don't want to act like that's just frivolous spending. I mean, that could be things like the water heater goes out and you've got to come up with a way to replace it. That can be a way you could have to rack up some debt. So talk about how you help somebody create a budget for all those retirement expenses, and even factoring in some of those emergency one-offs, because I think that's probably where people are going to run into the most trouble in retirement.
It really is. And Jen, I just want to make sure I heard you right. Did you say budget?
I did say that B word. I'm sorry. I know.
Usually people hear that word and they just shut down. And they don't want to listen anymore. But you're right. So, that really, here's the deal, Jen. And that's what I've found, is that if I know where my income's coming from on a month in and month out basis, then that kind of makes the budget flow much easier. It gives me a target to shoot for. And so I think that that's the big part of it, is putting together that income plan, because part of that planning is an emergency fund. And some of the things you talked about are emergencies. The water heater goes out. Well, that's not a $10,000 deal. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not cheap. Maybe it's $1,000, $1,500. So I have always been a big believer of having an emergency fund. Now, the problem is that emergency fund doesn't make any money, and people don't like that.
Right.
But that's not its purpose, right? It's there to provide for those emergencies. It's not there to make money. And so I tell people, look, you should have somewhere between $20,000 to $50,000, depending upon what your budget is, in that emergency fund, as a rule of thumb. And so then if you've got that put over there for those emergencies, and you've created this written retirement income plan, well, now I know how much money I've got to spend between Social Security and pension and extra money that I can draw off of my investments. I know what I can spend. And most people, if they retire with that first key, debt free, they never have an issue with the amount of money they have coming in and being able to do what they want to do in retirement. I think that's the key. And so what does that mean? Well, it means, folks, that you need to have that written retirement income plan that we talk about so much on the show. And one of the things I want to offer folks today that have at least $150,000 built up for retirement is an opportunity to get one of those written retirement income plans. All you have to do is give us a call at 863-285-3815. That number again is 863-285-3815, and let them know, hey, I want to sit down with Philip, and I want to look at him putting together a written retirement income plan for me. It's that simple. Give us a call at 285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. And the second key to a comfortable retirement, again, this was from a survey conducted by the Employee Benefit Research Institute. They found retirees who say they are comfortable in retirement have done the same 4 things. The first one, going into retirement with little or no debt. The second one is what they said was having a clear spend down strategy. So let's talk about what that means. What does that even mean?
Well, Jen, it's basically, as you're taking income out, what's going to be left. And so here's what I see when I sit down with people. We call it the junk drawer of income, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of accounts. They have a lot of different products out there, and they're getting income, but there's no plan in place. And they're getting what they need, but they don't know when that bucket's going to run out. They don't know where the next bucket's coming from. So our strategy, when we put together an income plan, is we're a bucket approach type firm. We believe in that. And so we create a clear strategy that says, hey, bucket number 1 is going to last you 5 to 7 years. Bucket number 2 is going to last you another 5 to 7 years. And then between bucket number 3 and the growth bucket, hey, you're going to have enough income to last your lifetime. So that's the spend down. That's the, when is that bucket going to run dry, and when am I going to switch to the next bucket? That's kind of what we call the spend down strategy.
All right. So again, it's having a plan for how you are going to be spending down and accessing that money, because the other thing we need to understand here is there's a transition that happens, Philip, when we go from saving for retirement and accumulating and putting money aside to then managing our savings in retirement. We need to understand that everything changes financially, and that's why that spend down strategy is so important, right? There's such a transition there.
It really is. And that's one of the things that I see folks miss the most, if you will. They've worked. Some folks have probably worked, 40 to 45 years before they get ready to retire. And they've done a really good job of putting money away, getting the most out of their 401ks and their retirement plans. And they've done a great job of saving. And then it comes around to retirement time. They don't change what they're doing. They keep doing the same thing, keep making the same investments, keep doing the same thing over and over again, which when you were working, that was okay, because if the market tanked, you were benefiting, right? Because you were putting more money in, you were buying at a low price. So when the market recovered, you were going to benefit from that. Well, now in retirement, you don't have a paycheck coming in. You have Social Security. If you're lucky, you have a pension, and that's it. You have your investments that are going to create the rest of your income. And so often, folks don't change the style in which they're investing their retirement dollars. As a matter of fact, I would say 90% of the time, they don't make that change. Wow. And that's the biggest problem I see for those people as they head into retirement, is they've not shifted gears in their IRAs and their 401ks and that type of stuff into a more risk adverse approach to creating income.
What would you say people overlook the most when it comes to how they're spending down their savings in retirement? Is it just not accounting for certain expenses, or what do you think people overlook the most?
I'm going to say that most people overlooked when it comes to spending. They really kind of overlook those things that automatically come out of their checking account, right? Like maybe insurance premiums, maybe their utility bill automatically comes out. They've got all these things set up on automatic. It's back of their mind, right? They don't see it. Yeah. So they don't realize it's really coming out of their checking account. So they don't account for some of those things when they start to put together the budget, because they don't see them every month when they come in the mail. They just comes out of their account. A lot of them don't even open the envelopes. And so that becomes, really part of the issue there when it comes to that kind of thing is really the budget and the frivolous spending that they don't realize what they're spending.
Right.
Eating out and that kind of stuff. So, Jen, that's really, again, why it's so important that folks put together that written retirement income plan, because that gives them that baseline of income. As a matter of fact, I met with several folks lately that say, "Hey, look, here's how much income we can get you," and they're like, "Oh, whoa, I don't need that much income. You know, that's by the time I take my Social Security and that's way more than what I need. Let's pare that down a little bit." But they wouldn't know that, right, if they didn't put together that written retirement income plan. So, folks, listen. If you've not done that, if you've not sat down and put together a written retirement income plan, and you're just taking your income from here, there, and everywhere, and it's meeting your needs, but do you know when you're going to run out of money? That's the key. Give us a call and let us help you put together that written retirement income plan. Listen, if you're listening to the show today and you've saved at least $150,000 for retirement, give us a call. Let us put together a written retirement income plan just for you. That phone number is 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815. We'd love to sit down with you and go through that process.
That number again is 863-285-3815. Talking today about a study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute that found that retirees who consider themselves to be comfortable in retirement, they've done the same 4 things. Philip is going to continue breaking down these 4 keys to a comfortable retirement in just a moment. Stay with us.
If you have a retirement plan and would like a second opinion, call Statler Financial Services today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Are you near retirement and facing a layoff? You may have some important decisions to make regarding your 401k. If you don't work there, should your money stay? This decision could be critical to your retirement. Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have worked with many families with these types of decisions and understand your options. We can look at the options for your 401k that could save you on taxes down the road. Call Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services and schedule your complimentary 401k review at 863-285-3815. Philip and the team are ready to assist you no matter how, by phone, video, or with an in-person visit. Call Philip Statler and the Statler Financial Services team today for your 401k review. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. Philip was the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. And today we're talking about a study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute. It found that retirees who consider themselves to be comfortable in retirement, they've all done the same 4 things. So we're calling these the keys to a comfortable retirement. So Philip, for those who missed it, because we've already covered a couple of them, let's recap those first 2 keys to a comfortable retirement and why you think they're important.
Absolutely, Jen. So the first key is to go into retirement with little or no debt. Now, that should be obvious, right? Because if we are in debt, then that's that much more income we have to produce to pay down the debt. Mm-hmm. And that's less income we have to spend or use or create income with. So that's number one. We need to those folks that I see that retire with little or no debt have a much better success rate through retirement. The second one we talked about last segment was to create a clear spend down strategy. Now, for us at Statler Financial, we believe in a written retirement income plan using kind of a bucket approach so that you are going to spend down each bucket until you get to the last 2 buckets, which are going to last you throughout your lifetime. And so not having that strategy on paper written down can cause problems. We want to make sure that we've got those things in place so that we can have the retirement income we need for the future, and that's the spend down strategy.
All right, so little or no debt, clear spend down strategy. The next key, again, these are people who responded to the survey and said they feel comfortable in retirement. They say they have some sort of employer provided assistance. Now that sounds pretty good, but maybe a little bit harder to get. What can you tell us about that one?
Well, obviously, those folks that retire with a pension, like you just said, it's hard to get these days. But obviously, they're ahead of the curve, right? Because they not only have Social Security, but then they're going to have their pension also. So then they have the three-legged stool still. And not a lot of people do. But then they've got the pension, Social Security, and then the last third of their income they can create from their own savings. But a lot of people don't have that, right? They only have Social Security. And they have a nice 401k. They've got some money saved. So you have to create your own pension. And really and truly, that's why we created the income plan, because that really does give us our pension, right? We can adjust it for inflation. We can tweak it for more money up front, less money down the road. There's all kinds of little nuances that we can walk through to make it be your pension for down the road. Now, within that, you have to use the right tools. Right. And so, we're going to use portfolios. You got to have some risk. You got to have some safety. It takes both things, Jen, and this is people's misconception. It takes both safety and risk to create income that you're not going to outlive. So many people think they can just go all safe. Well, that won't keep up with inflation. Other people think they will be all in a balanced portfolio. Well, what we've learned over time is that when the market goes down, all the markets go down. The bond market goes down, maybe not as much, but it still goes down. And if you're taking money out, that's going to be problematic for your money to last throughout your lifetime. So it takes both. And that's what we put together in our retirement income plans, is both. So obviously the risk side, people know where that's coming from. That's coming from the stock market, right? Having a nice portfolio that's going to help keep up with inflation. So where's the safety going to come from? Well, that's where annuities come into play. Not just any annuity. You got to have the right kind of annuity put in there. One that's not costing you an arm and a leg. One that's going to provide you the income you need down the road. Now, obviously, when you deal with annuities, there's some downside, right? Just like there is when you're in the market. Downside is there's a holding period. Maybe that's 5 years, 7 years, maybe it's 10 years that you got to hold on to it. That's why it's built into a plan, because it's a tool that's going to be used at a specific time for a specific reason. So those are the type of things that we want to make sure that we're looking at when we put together that retirement income plan, Jen.
And I think that's important when you talk a little bit about having both, because there is a balance there when it comes to safety and that non-guaranteed versus what we would call guaranteed or protected income. And that's really what your process is all about, is helping us analyze where we are now, and then identify ways that we can achieve that balance. Before we get into our final key, just talk a little bit about how we can reach you to get started on creating that retirement design that helps us achieve both the right balance between growth and safety.
Absolutely, Jen. So the core retirement design, it helps people to calculate how much risk they have in their portfolio. It helps them determine how much risk they're willing to take. It helps organize their objectives and goals. It reviews where they are compared to their current portfolio in terms of risk and cost analysis. And then it helps them establish, right, the optimized risk match portfolio, which makes that portfolio line up really and truly with their risk number. Give us a call to walk through that process, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. 3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is with Statler Financial Services, and I'm Jen Rezac alongside. And the final key to a comfortable retirement is having some sort of guaranteed income. So, Philip, you were just, we were talking a little bit about that balance between non-guaranteed and guaranteed. That could be Social Security. That could mean a pension. We don't see a lot of that anymore. Or you can create your own stream of guaranteed income that kind of works like a pension. But just talk about how important that is, Philip. Reiterate how important it is to have both, because I think in an ideal world, everything would be guaranteed income, but I don't think that's a reality. So we've got to make sure that we're making the right decisions with guaranteed versus non-guaranteed income, right?
Well, that's right, Jen. We really do. And when we think of guaranteed income sources, the first one that comes to most people's mind is Social Security, right? Social Security is going to come in every month, no matter what. But we have to make sure that we are making the right choice when it comes to taking our Social Security, as well as our pension, and making sure we're putting the right pieces together within that pension to make sure that everything's going to line up with everything else. So you've got the guarantees between Social Security and maybe a pension. And then on the other side, we've got the income plan with some, I'm not going to say guarantees, but with some optimism of here's where we should be. Now, I believe in being really and truly realistic when we put together our income plans. We're not going to use some high number in terms of, the market's going to do 8, 10, 12%. Not going to happen, Jen. We're going to look and say, hey, can my money last as long as I do if I only earn 3%? Because if that's all I make and it'll work, then I'm good, right? So don't let anybody use unrealistic expectations on how much money you can make, whether it's in the stock market, the bond market, and an annuity. It doesn't matter. Don't let somebody give you unrealistic expectations, Jim, because that will just cause everything to just blow up when you need to start taking your income. People that retire with a written retirement income plan in place have that peace of knowing where their money's coming from, when it's coming from that spot. And I have people all the time, we sit down and they say, okay, now so next year I'm going to switch where I'm getting my money from. Absolutely. So they're on track. They know exactly what's happening with their income plan. That needs to be you as you're heading into retirement. That's important that you understand. That's why I believe it's so important that you have that written retirement income plan. And so if you've saved at least $150,000 for retirement, please, please, please give us a call. Let us help you put together that written retirement income plan. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. Stay with us.
This is Roxy at Statler Financial Services. On behalf of me and the team, we want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you could leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, of course. And my goodness, what a perfect song for this time of year, Philip. In the past couple weeks, all the hustle and the bustle of getting ready for the holidays. Of course, it's finally here. It's finally settling down. But nothing makes me feel like I should be dashing through the aisles of Target than Russian Dance from the Nutcracker.
Sliding to and fro, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I know, of course, when we talk about celebrating Christmas, there's so much more to it than all of the things we manufacture around the holidays. But it's easy to get caught up in all of this. And I'm anxious to see, as we talk about the money side of this with Christmas, where all of this falls, because the National Retail Federation says last Christmas of 2020, we spent as a country $789.4 billion on Christmas. And that was during the pandemic when things were crazy shut down. And the projection for this year is another 8 to 10% more that we'll be spending. Now, of course, we'll get those final numbers here, I'm sure, before too long. But what do you think, Philip? I mean, do you think that sounds about right based on your own personal family and what you've seen and what you've heard with all people out and about?
I mean, I think spending will increase. The real key, Jen, I think, for this coming year is going to be, can you get what you need? Can you get what you want? What the kids want? What everybody wants with the supply chain issues. So,
it's been a mess.
There could be a little bit of, I can't find that expensive item, so I'm having to cut back. So I think the spending will be there because people are going to justify by spending just as much as they would have, even if they can't find what they wanted to give in the first place. Right.
And when you talk about those supply chain issues and trying to get the thing, get the toy, or whatever it is, get that gift. For me, it's always going to some sort of toy because I still have 4 kids at home, and the 2 little ones are still all about toys. For us, a tradition throughout the whole month of December and the whole holiday season is sitting down together and watching Christmas movies. And we, for the first time, sat down with our boys and watched Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You remember that one from back in the 90s? Yes. Okay. So there are so many scenes in that movie where, of course, we know it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, and they're battling it out to try to get this toy for their sons. And I think it's something we can all relate to. I have a clip I want to play because I think it just fits with this narrative that we've had this year with all the supply chain shortages and the shipping delays. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rita Wilson in Jingle All the Way from 1996.
You got the doll, right?
The doll.
The Turbo Man doll. I asked you to pick one up 2 weeks ago.
I got it. I got the Turbo Man doll. The one that has those things that shoot out in front with that rock'em sock'em jetpack and with that realistic voice box that says, "It's turbo time." I got it.
Oh, good. Because at this point, they'd probably be impossible to find.
How many parents can relate to that, Philip?
That like lying to your wife at Christmas time. Right?
I know, because we all know he didn't have that doll. He did not have that doll. It was Christmas Eve. He's
but it's going to be that way this year, Jen. I think
it has been.
There's going to be some fighting at the stores to get what they want.
Yeah, and for me, thankfully, there were a couple of things that cut it pretty close for me as far as getting them shipped safely to our house. But the scenes in Jingle All the Way, all the frantic parents, pushing scenes, it's kind of like that on steroids this year with the supply shortages and the shipping delays. And Philip, one of the big messages from Christmas last year, I thought, was people were really putting an emphasis on time together, experiences, all these other things, not necessarily the stuff. I kind of feel like maybe some people this year are trying to overcompensate for what Christmas was like last year, and they're really kind of doing it up big this year. But here's the thing, even for people who are cutting back, for our kids, we really only do a handful, 4 or 5 gifts. But when you look at where prices are today, I mean, kids' shoe prices up 12% over a year ago. Even if you're trying to do things minimalist, everything's just getting more and more expensive. And that's something that is just true for all of us.
It really is. I was talking to a couple of clients this week, and it's like, well, how does the average person keep up with the way things are skyrocketing in price? Mm-hmm. And that's true. It takes more and more to buy the same things. And, that's making it more and more difficult for everybody out there right now, especially people on fixed incomes. It's really putting a crimp into their holiday budgets.
Right. It really is. And when you talk about people's holiday budgets, I wonder from a retirement planning perspective, for people who are preparing for their retirement budgets. I know when I think about retirement, I think of all the big things, right? The trips that I hope we can take, and, possibly another home somewhere, and those types of things. But things like Christmas and birthdays and weddings, all that stuff is going to keep happening. And if you have any special traditions with your kids now and you want to expand that with your grandkids, we got to think about building that into the budget. I mean, do people kind of lose sight of that when they're talking about their retirement budget? And you have to remind them, hey, wait a second. If these are things you're celebrating and doing now, you're going to keep doing that in retirement.
Well, it is. It's one of those things that when you think about building that retirement income plan and what are your expenses and what your budgets look like, everybody thinks about travel and thinks about the home improvements they want to make when they get ready to retire, or the second homes. They think about all that when they're thinking about their budget. What they don't think about is inflation. And they don't think about how things go up every year. And I think, Jen, a lot of that is because we haven't had a lot of inflation, right? For the last 10, 15 years, inflation has been very low. I mean, it's been 1.2, 2.5%, maybe at the most. Now we come into a year like this where it's up over 5%, or almost 6% for inflation. And we could even top out the year higher than that when we get the final number next year. But that, in fact, eats into your budget. And so it's one of the reasons when we build income plans for folks, we make sure that we've got step-ups. If not every year, at least every 4 or 5 years, we have a big step up in, hey, look, you're going to need more money because stuff's going to cost more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is going to keep costing more. And the way I look at it, you look at what it is that you've saved right now, and you think about just how much of your lifestyle that covers and how things are going for you right now. And then you have to double what you're spending. So if you don't do something different with what you've saved, it's as if you've saved half as much. If the price of everything doubles in every 24 or 25 years, something like that, right? I mean, so how do we deal with that, Philip? If it's going to be impossible for us to outsave inflation, what do we think about as far as how do we manage that money to make sure we can still have this current lifestyle? I don't think I know anybody who wants to cut back and only be able to, afford half as many things in 20 years as they can now.
Well, it takes a balance, Jim, between risk and safety within your portfolio. So many people, when they get ready to retire, they have way too much risk and nothing's safe. So when the market crashes, they're caught off guard. But Jim, the other can happen too, where people don't have enough risk in their portfolio. So it takes a combination of both, and it takes putting together that written retirement income plan. So you've got that roadmap that says, hey, look, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through where I am. And into retirement, folks. And that's one reason that we developed our core retirement design, Jen, is to be able to help people really and truly ascertain what does their risk look like? What does that number look like for you? And then ultimately at the end, put together a portfolio that's going to match up with that risk number and help them create the income plan that they're going to need to get through retirement. Folks, listen, to get yours, all you have to do is give us a call at 863-285-3815 to sit down and walk through our core retirement design so you can design the retirement you always dreamed of. That number again is 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. That number again, 863-285-3815. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. And when we talk about factors like inflation over time, and Philip, some of those other risks like taxes or stock market volatility, it's no wonder people worry about whether they've saved enough, right? And if you're worried about not being able to afford retirement, you're not alone. A lot of people worry about that. The Retirement Confidence Index from SimplyWise says 44% of Americans are worried they're never going to be able to afford to retire. And Charles Schwab has a Modern Wealth survey. The latest says only 33% of Americans have a written financial plan. So that means if 30-something% of Americans have a written financial plan, that means most of us, 70% of us, don't have that financial plan.
You're absolutely right. So let me connect those dots for you. A lot of you are worried that you haven't saved enough or that you won't even be able to retire. And most of you don't have a written financial plan. And a written financial plan, especially a retirement income plan, helps you feel more financially stable. Here's the good news. You don't have to be one of those people worried if your money will last or even if you can afford to retire. We have a process for helping you create the income strategy, and we'll start that, what we call the core retirement design. So I invite you now to give us a call, and we can help you with some things, right? We can help you with create the budget that you need to make sure that your retirement can be the retirement you always dreamed of. Uncover the risk out there, because that can be a big deal. It can knock you off your feet in retirement. Things like inflation, market volatility, tax increases, and then the skyrocketing healthcare cost. Learn about options to help you generate income in retirement, and learn about how to keep your current standard of living in retirement even as costs continue to rise. Folks, listen, just for listening to the show today, you can have access to all of this if you've saved at least $150,000 for retirement. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Call and ask for your retirement income analysis. After we've analyzed where you are right now, then we can help you start to map out the strategies to get you where you want to go so that you got the retirement you always dreamed of. This isn't about big wins, because big wins can lead to big downturns also. We're not here to make you rich. We're here to make sure you keep what you have so that you can have the retirement you always dreamed of. Again, give us a call at 863-285-3815. Again, that's 863-285-3815.
You want to take advantage of this special offer from Philip to help make sure that you won't run out of money, and you could even boost your returns over time. So get started today at 863-285-3815. That is all the time we have here on the show today. Thanks so much for joining us on the Statler Financial Radio Show. We hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Information provided during the Statler Financial Radio Show is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No strategy is guaranteed to be successful.
This radio show is a paid placement.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you could leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated